This is the Luft Concepts Avant. It's a prototype for a new knife company called Luft Concepts. And Luft Concepts is the love child of Jake of Bearded Gear, the Bearded Gear channel, and a designer named Ryan Rimmer. I think he goes by Rimmer Designs on Instagram. But they are online knife buddies, and kind of on a lark got together and started designing knives, and things just kept feeling right. They were designing these via Zoom call, basically, and yeah, so they have come up with quite a gorgeous knife, and it is a knife that fully fits both of their greatest desires in knives. That didn't come out right, but you know what I mean. This is an amalgamation of all the things that they love in modern folding knives. And here, I guess we'll start at the blade. You can hear it. Listen. Let me try it one more time. See if you can hear that. It's got this long resonating ting after you open that up, because it is so thinly ground. It's a, what do you call it? Hollow grind, and it is ground like a straight razor. Here, let me find something I can back this up with. Here you go. Look at how thin that is. It is the thinnest ground pocket knife I think I've experienced. It really, really is like a straight razor. It's just incredibly deeply hollow ground on a pretty decently sized blade stock, crowned spine, by the way, all class. And so it is just built for slicing. It's more like built for slipping between atoms. Here. I mean, you can't really get, this is very thick paper. You can't get an idea of what I'm talking about unless you hold it and feel it and actually experience the edge. Okay, so when this came to me, this is, he's been sending this around to a whole bunch of reviewers. You've seen this knife before. It came to me from Stasa, and if you know Stasa, he uses his knives pretty hard, and it held up. This is, what is it? Is it 3V? Oh my gosh. Now I'm having a little brain lock here. I think that this is, okay. I apologize. I can't remember what steel this is, but it's held up remarkably well. Because I know everyone else who has had this so far has really, really used it. Here, let's look at how deeply hollow this is. Look at that. Boom. And the cool thing is this is almost a full height hollow grind. You can see the grind comes up to right there. That's like halfway in that hole. And that gives it the effect of feeling like there's a ridge up here. Like this whole thing is a ridge. And by the way, the insides of these holes are very nicely chamfered, so that ridge isn't too abrupt and doesn't take off your skin, but it makes grabbing, it makes getting purchase with your fingers so easy there. Not only is it an interesting and large shaped hole, but you've got this sort of wider than the rest of the blade area right here. It's almost like a handle, kicks it open. So very, very cool. So this opening hole is that was my fault, but this is an interesting shape, and it allows for a lot of things. I mean, you like I've been doing, it's very gratifying to Spidey flick. It's very gratifying to thumb flick and slow roll. Opening it is all good. Sometimes closing it, it feels like I get ahead of myself, but I'm learning a little bit better. So this has, as you can see here, another way to deploy it. This amazing little, tiny little pocket clip, which I love. By the way, this that is their maker's mark, and it's the alchemical symbol for air. Luft means air in German. They're into air-cooled German cars like older Porsches and, well, I don't know about older, but yeah, Porsches and Audis and that kind of thing. And so they bonded over that as well as knives. and so decided to name it Luft Concepts. Alchemical symbol for air. I think that's a pretty cool little Easter egg. So I love this little tiny tab. I think it's really, it's sort of like the same way I like the Vero Engineering tab. It's just low profile, out of the way, and having it positioned in front of the pivot, you know, and that little, and pulling it back that way. It just whips the blade out. It whips it out. Doesn't rock it out. It whips out, and I really like the way it feels. And then it tings. That ting, it gets me every single time. But so you see the shape of this matches the shape of this. So it's a totally hidden flipper tab when the thing is open, which is a nice, nice touch, if you ask me. And it adds to this shape. So you have this neutral area here, much like the neutral area of a PM2, but it's the inverse. So the Avant dips down to accommodate and hide that little flipper tab. And since this doesn't have a flipper tab, it doesn't need to do that. So it dips in for a finger choil. Both serve the same purpose. Both like areas of space serve the same purpose, as just so you can choke up. It's just they're expressed in different ways. And when I first got this, I was like, oh, that needs to be a choil. And it was just, and that was just because that's what I have seen before. And then I got it in hand. I was like, oh, actually, that's really comfortable. Now this here, the way it is different. Here, you're still a little bit away from the blade. You've got that choil and you're right up on it. But here, you're kind of really up on it. You can be on any spot here, but it's comfortable there because then it's like you're pulling back, sort of like on these flipper tabs for Finch, how kind of you're choked up on there, and pulling back is what gives you some control. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. You're like pulling back. You're not nested comfortably, seated comfortably in a divot shaped for your finger. You're holding on and pulling back, and it's, to me, it feels more active, like a more active engagement. Not that I am comparing them. Well, I guess I am comparing them. I guess that's exactly what I'm doing. So you have that space there. Really nice liner lock. Full liners, full nested liners. Damn it, I didn't bring my, I don't have a light around me. I'm not a knife light guy. But it's hard to see, but yeah, those are definitely nested liners on both sides. Titanium, all the pieces parts are titanium. This back strap here, nice linen micarta, pocketed out on the inside to accommodate those liners. And you have a sort of, just a simple utilitarian wire clip that you can switch to either side. And the shape, let's look at the shape. So to me, I looked at this knife and I thought, this is before I became so enamored with how hollow ground it is. Just looking at it in a picture, I was like, okay, so this reminds me of a couple of knives, and I happen to know that there are a couple of knives that Jake likes. One of them is the Paramilitary 2. You've got a similar layout around the pivot, like I mentioned, you know, like a little extra space there to choke up. You have a downward, blade shape, I'm not sure what you call this, a drop point, I guess. If you're being, you know, a lot of things can be drop points. This is sort of a drop point too. So there's some similarities here. And then when you get past, like, not so much here's where the similarity is to me with the Paramilitary 2. And then as you go aft, it starts to remind me a little bit of a SNG with that sort of area, that angle there that really accommodates your palm for it just accommodates your palm and braces that knife in your hand. I feel like the guys at Luft Concept used this angle that is used here in the SNG and the other Striders, but used it better. It feels better in my hand anyway. It does the same thing. That angle accommodates the curve of my palm and nestles itself in my palm and makes it feel really secure, especially if I have to push. But it's not peaked in such a harsh and dramatic way to poke into my hand. So some very positives from both of these knives I see in this design. But all of that said, I don't mean to say that it's derivative. It doesn't seem like a derivative design to me or anything like that. But it seems to really incorporate a lot of things from a lot of different knives that I happen to know Jake likes just because I happen to watch Jake's videos. And then, of course, you have a whole other human being who loves knives that went into designing this too, Ryan Rimmer. And I am unsure of his taste, but together they put together this really cool looking utilitarian, but also pleasing to the eye and hand knife. Let me show you a couple of knives with it. I thought about this Vero Engineering Synapse. It also has a low profile flipper tab, and I really like the fact that it's low profile and doesn't kind of complicate the profile, but it also really works well. Rockets that out. If I didn't mention, this prototype is made by Reate Knives. So, well, there you go. And all that implies, Reate Knives. Awesome prototype, awesome build of a really nice design. As I just did with the Synapse, I like to flip flippers using my thumb, and this one is also really good for that. So there you go. If you like thumb flipping flippers, let's see. Here it is with an XM18. Just gonna put it up here with a bunch of stuff. This, by the way, is on washers. So there you go. Oh, here's one kind of similar in spirit. The American Blade Works Model 1 version 5. Here it is with a 3-inch knife. This is obviously the Hogue Ritter RSK Mark 1 Mini. Here it is with another one of similar spirit, I would say, the 80-20.5. Similar in spirit in that it's a very pleasing all-work knife that gives you a lot of grip options. I'll leave this here so you have a 3-inch guide. A couple more here. Here it is with a Sebenza. And let's see, one more, the Rockwall. Also kind of a utility knife, smaller, veering more towards gents knife, if you ask me. But to me, the Avant by Luft Concepts is kind of making its way. I think when it's good, what am I trying to say? When it's out and widely available, I think it's going to go this way. These are all classic EDC knives. Some of them newer classics, of course, but these are all, really well made, well considered, well designed. Like a lot of thought went into the design of all of these. A lot of thought and reiteration, And so I feel like the Avant and the guys at Luft Concept are really sort of teeing themselves up for a great future. I mean, this is a great first knife. They seem to have an excellent creative collaboration going, and a lot of ideas. I know they have other ideas. They want this thing to have a life of its own, but they want to keep making these things, and I can't wait to get one myself. This one I have to send back, sadly, shortly, sometime this week. But we'll always have Paris. Avant. All right, there you go. Check out the podcast I did, the interview with Jake Wright of Bearded Gear and Luft Concepts. We talk all about this, and he tells us all about the process, going from zero knowledge to now having his own Reate made prototypes making the rounds. All right, thanks for watching.